It's time for today's first book. In 1926, Agatha Christie disappeared for 11 days. Only I know the truth of her disappearance. I'm no Hercule Poirot, but I'm her husband's mistress. If that doesn't grab you, I don't know what will. It's The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. Have I said that right?
Nina de Gramont, oui, je vous prie d'accueillir sur l'expression de mes sentiments le plus gay. Yes, this was my book, The Christie Affair. Whoa. Like a lot of things in life, I binge read that book. Like I picked it up and I loved the writing in it. It just was so easy to get stuck into it. And again, edge of the seat stuff. You know, it's based on a real life story. You know, it's a reimagining of what happened to Agatha Christie back in the 1920s when she went missing for 11 days because her husband was having an affair. So it's taken from the perspective of the other woman, so which is very interesting. And she has an Irish background as well. So you have like all this lovely, again, I've immersed myself in the book, 1920s with my flapper dress and the sequins, and because it goes from like shooting parties and you know, tennis to townhouses, you know, and in the 1920s in London. And then it bounces over to Ireland to the backstory about Nancy O'Dea, who was Archie, Agatha Christie's husband's mistress. And so it's just full of plots and twists and turns and murders. And, you know, Agatha Christie, we all know, even though would you believe I've never read one of her books, but her own personal life was actually more mysterious than a lot of the characters that she wrote about. So it's so like, you're sometimes reading and you're going, really, is that what's happening? I wonder. And I was dying to talk to other people about it because, but obviously it's only out next month. So, but anyone I spoke to, my sister-in-law, she's a huge Agatha Christie fan. And she was like, how did you not know about the 11-day disappearance? This was, you know, huge. And now, I was Googling all about her. She seemed to be an amazing woman. And that's what's kind of sad about this. You know, she was, Agatha was, you know, trying to keep her marriage together, and she's just becoming famous, and her own mum has just died. And then there's this other woman, Nancy O'Dea, who I Googled, and she actually is Nancy Neil, I think, in real life, of Irish extraction. And just it made it so fascinating, all the different, you know, facets to it. So absolutely, if you want something that you're just going to pick it up and just read nonstop, this is the book for you. But you need to take time off from your job. You need to take time off from your life. Your children might know you for a couple of days, but it's worth it.
Because I read her memoir from years and years ago, and I think she did a memoir obviously before she died. But and it was always, I think it's a quote on the front of the cover said, like, this is the best book she ever wrote. Like, she had such an amazing life that the memoir is like that. But even in the memoir, that whole 11-day incident, she doesn't tell you kind of what happened. She's very vague on it, you know. So, and at the time, I think headline after headline after, that was like, it would be like Princess Diana going missing in the mid-90s. It was front page news for the week and a half that it happened. And she never revealed kind of what she did.
That's what's amazing about this book. It's a genre I'd never heard of before. Hist-fic. So historical fiction at its finest. You know, I'm learning so much from being on the show. Can I tell you? Are we getting a grant from somewhere to have me, you know, learning all these new things? What was it last time? You know, American politics. Now I'm finding out about, you know, writers in the 1920s, one of the most famous writers. But because in real life, it had never been revealed what had actually happened during those 11 days, that would really pique your interest as an Agatha Christie fan, wouldn't it? But because it's reimagined, like, it's amazing the story that comes out, and there's murder, there's, you know, and you're like, what is going on here? It's fascinating, it really is.
It just sounds incredible. I think there you've just sold, I think, your outfit as well and everything. You just puts it all together. And as well, I found obviously in modern years, with obviously the whole, or the modern year, the whole Wagatha Christie has kind of brought back the Agatha Christie again, because everyone's now talking about Agatha Christie again because of the wags that have their little war.
I knew more about that than I actually did about any of Agatha Christie's characters. I'm very good with popular culture. I can always tell you anything that's going on in certain websites, but never as good as I have been of late. Again, I have more to talk about, you know, more dinner party conversations, little anecdotes to throw in there going, yeah, remember that time, you know, are you a fan of Agatha Christie? Well, let me tell you. And I'm a good bluffer, you see. I love having, you know, and getting everyone else chatting again. That's the beauty about reading a book sometimes, you know, it just, sparks off all these other things, in your life, really.
Absolutely. When other people haven't had a chance to read it yet, they're able to listen to us and get absolutely, I suppose, enthralled by the story. I know I certainly am.